Hey everybody, Danny Maude here. Thanks for joining us. If you've clicked on this video, my bet you're looking to try and hit your driver straight. Maybe you've got a great big booming slice that you want to get rid of, or alternatively, you hook the golf ball. You sometimes have got rid of your slice or hook, and then for some reason it keeps coming back. Why is that? Well, in this week's training, I'm going to show you exactly why, but more importantly, I'm going to give you 3 simple steps to start straightening up your driver today. Okay, so before I do that, if you're new to the channel, this is one of your first videos of mine, please consider subscribing. Press that little bell button next to subscribe button. You get notified every time I release a video just like this one. Plus, if you enjoy the golf lesson, down below is a free practice plan and summary of this exact lesson that you can simply download for completely free and take to the driving range so you don't have to remember a thing. Okay, so let's get started. So what are we going to do for it? We'll tackle slicing first. So I had a recent client of mine, James, comes to see me with a great big slice. Now he only booked half an hour. We managed to solve it in literally about 15 minutes, okay? And we did it in 3 simple steps. Look, if you are slicing in the golf ball, this is exactly what's happening. The club face is open to the path that you're swinging on. What do I mean by open? This would be an open face and it's open to the path that you're swinging on. So for right-handers, James was swinging way to the left and the face was open to that path, and it was creating this spin on the golf ball, was curving it out. So we needed to do 2 things. We needed to teach him how to square the face, but he would need to, whenever you're curing something, you almost need to exaggerate, you almost feel like you need to have to close the face, okay, the opposite. So I need to teach him how to close the face, and then I needed to teach him how to get the path correct so that the ball would then set off. He wouldn't swing to the left, but he would actually set off much more down the center of the fairway. So this is the first step in the process, okay? It's the same process for hooking, so bear with me, we'll go into that in a second. Now, all we did, James started off like a lot of golfers who slice the golf ball. He started off with his hands turned too much towards the target this way. They were way too much turned towards the target. So his top hand here was turned too much here. Now when he looked down at it, he could basically only see about 1.5 knuckles. So the very first thing I did was strengthen his grip, or simply turn it away from the target. Now this meant he now could see more knuckles. Now why would we do that? Well, when you let your arms hang down like this naturally, unless you have injuries, your hands turn inwards. Now the problem is, if you don't grip a golf club like this and you grip it like this, your hand, when it relaxes, really wants to turn back to its most natural position. So what James had done is he'd held the club like this, and then it turned naturally like this. Now watch this. If you hold it too much like this and you relax, it turns like this. This is why the grip is very, very important and the first stage in the entire process. So what I want you to do is just change the grip first, then just start hitting golf balls, trying to get used to that grip. You may not suddenly start seeing beautiful shots going down the middle of the fairway, but it's the first stage. That for some people can be curative, and that's enough. So we start hitting a few shots. I've strengthened my grip a little bit here. Let's have a look at this. And away we go. Now I hit as many as it takes just to kind of get a sense of feeling more comfortable with that grip. Now, we didn't have time to kind of just spend like 10, 15, 20 balls. So we had, right, start with the grip, hit some shots. Then we said, the difficult thing about this, and it is difficult, and the confusing thing, if you've watched any videos on trying to stop slicing, you'll probably hear about people tuck your elbow in here or do this. Here's the issue. The problem is this. We want to close the face, yes? But when you're trying to close the face, you're closing it from the wrong area. You're closing it with your shoulder. You're closing it with the arm, the top of the arm. Watch this. The actual closing starts here. I want you to do this. If you can, grab a golf club now. Just pause the video, grab a golf club, because this will be really, really helpful for you, okay? So what you do is I'm going to point the club up here. Now the handle here is slightly ahead of the club face. And what I want you to do is this. With the new grip, we're going to rotate the face down by literally the top part of this arm. We're going to turn the knuckles down like this, keeping the handle just either in line or slightly ahead. Notice this. I'm not doing it with this. My right arm here, I'm turning it with this section of the arm. I am not turning it with the whole arm. So you need to feel that. Just literally, just practice, just doing this. Turn the face down. That's it. And then what you do is you just get a sensation of turning it down. what James was doing, he was turning it down with the whole shoulder. So this now starts to fix the two problems with the slice, face and path. Watch this. If you try to turn, which most people are doing, closing the face, you end up turning the arm, throwing the arm this way. That just throws it outside. What we want to do, look, watch this. Don't throw the arm or throw the shoulder, just literally the bottom part of that forearm, just get the sensation, look, of that closing the face. This is stage number 2. It's not the entire stage yet, but now what we're doing with James is we're giving him a sense of what it takes to close the face. It's not this, it's this, okay? So, I naturally draw the ball, so we should see a great big hook on this. Just going to literally practice turning this down. Remember, James has a long way to go. He slices the golf ball, so we need him to feel like he's closing the face quite considerably. Back, through. That's nice, actually. I like that. Okay, now we spent literally probably again and I didn't say that you cannot leave this space here. We cannot start working truly on the path of the golf club until you've got that ball curving right to left, hooking almost. So he did this, and about 3 balls in, the ball starts turning, and he put a real nice smile on his face. The ball's turning. So he kept doing that 3 or 4 shots. And that's what I want you to do too. Don't rush into this. Do not move on to step number 3 until you've seen the ball starting to get that draw, starting to get that hook. Now, because the thing is this, you can't get the club changing path and swing in this direction, if your ball's slicing over there. You just won't have the confidence to do it. Get the ball turning right to left. Then we worked on this stage. The third and final stage was more of a mindset and more of hitting a golf ball is about putting pressure on the ball. It isn't about throwing the head at the ball. This is the big difference. What often happens when you're trying to stop slicing is this. We've just alluded to it a little bit. You throw the forearm, you throw the club, you're trying desperately to close the face. And what happens, look, you're trying desperately, to close the face, and in doing so, you throw it, this gets the arm rotating, and look at this now. The head gets ahead of the handle. But when you do this, you're throwing it, and you've just seen it's going to throw you left. It's going to swing the path left, which creates the slice, okay? Because your body reacts and does this. So we don't want to throw this. What we're going to do, look, is put a pressure on the back of the golf ball. Look at this in action like with a tennis racket. Pressure on the back of the golf ball. Look at that. You can feel this. Put pressure. If you want, go and grab a door frame. Stand at a door frame right now and just imagine putting the flat part of your hand, putting pressure on that there. Suddenly, look how naturally the body starts to work. It doesn't do this. And by the way, if you've ever seen tips on try to get your elbow in, all this happens naturally, yeah? Put pressure on the golf ball, that's pressure, that's not. That's what, if you get chicken wings, flicky strikes, same with the irons, this is what's gonna happen. So we then said, right, now you've got to imagine now, look, putting pressure on the back of that golf ball. There, you've got a sensation, look, of that club face turning down. You're putting a pressure on that ball. So nice and small to start off with. And away we go. Lovely little movement there. Beautiful. So those were the 3 steps, and it was absolutely amazing. He couldn't believe it. Suddenly the slice was disappearing. He was really getting a beautiful draw. Now, did the slice come back during the session? Of course it did. Yeah, no one's like, no one's a magician, but what would happen is I said, great, check your grip. So he did. The grip was fine. One thing he had to keep coming back to, the most important thing, was getting the ball turning. It must get the ball turning. So if he started to kind of get the pressure, but then lose the sensation of the club face turning or closing through impact, then he had to drop, go back to stage 2, and then only focus on this. If that meant the ball would go left, that's absolutely fine to start with, okay? That's stage 2. Get that, this is the most important bit there. Then put the pressure on the back of that golf ball. That was what we did to completely transform James's driving in less than probably about 15 minutes. So if you hook the golf ball, just imagine reversing the entire process. Another client comes to me, he's hooking the golf ball. His right hand is too much underneath the golf club, right? So he's underneath the golf club here. So if his right hand's underneath the golf club, where does it want to naturally hang? Like this. So you need to move your hands towards the target. Get your hands towards the target so that now what we're doing is, rather than having maybe 4 knuckles on the left hand, the lead hand showing, you're going to have maybe 2 or 3. And the right hand, we want to see at least 1 knuckle showing, right? Not the fingers. And most people hook the ball, all I can see is the fingers. So literally, your job, if you hook the ball, is to simply move your hands towards the target. That's just the first stage. Hit some shots, doing exactly the same thing. Get a feel for what you're doing. Then, how can you do stage number 2? Well, in stage number 2, what do? We said, look, you've got the slices have to feel like they are turning it down. What you need to do, okay, is get the sensation that, if anything, what you're doing is you need to feel like you are opening it up a little bit. You need to do the opposite. You need to get the sensation. You're already hooded. So you need to get the sensation of just feeling like you are opening up. You're leaving the face a little bit more open through the impact area. Once you've done that, okay, and you've got that sensation of the club face being open, hit a few shots again. Do not change, do not move on to stage number 3 until you've got or reduced the amount that you are hooking the golf ball. If you can't feel the club face open through the impact area, look at this. This is turning it down. Watch this. This is opening it. My hands are still ahead, but what I'm doing is I'm just turning it this way, get a sensation of what it's supposed to feel like there. That's the open face. Get the sensation of that. Then move on to stage number 3. For stage number 3, whereas you're probably now putting too much pressure on the ball, you're probably hanging back, you've probably got this very high handle now, you've got too much pressure, you need to release. You actually need to throw the club or let the club release because you're hanging on. Maybe you've been trying to work on lag too much. So you've got too much lag, you're holding on way too much. Release those angles earlier. Very counterintuitive. You think, well, if I release it, surely it will hook. No, because what happens is, watch. When you put too much pressure on, you hang on too much, the handle gets very high, you get underneath, and then you either block it to the right or have to flip it. But watch this. If you release the angles, suddenly look, the club comes out in front. How do you do this? Great feeling, great drill for you hookers. Split hand drill. Get yourself set, split hands, and literally get that sensation. It will give you like a lever. It really helps this sensation here where the lever comes out. Simple as that. So with hookers, you get yourself set, back, and literally love this drill. I'm a natural drawer, so this is a really good one for me. So let's summarize. What have we done? 3-step process, whether it's slicing or hooking. Stage number 1, look after the grip. So change the grip. If you want to change it, look, there's always a club face issue and a path issue. So we've got to change the club face, whether it's open or closed. So if you're open, got too much of an open face, you need to turn your hands away from the target a little bit more. Just check that. So you can see more knuckles on your lead hand and slightly less on your trail hand, okay? So we're going to turn them away, get a feel for that. Hit some golf balls doing that, and only that. Just get a feel, because it can feel really strange when you do it for the first time. So start with that. Stage number 2, you then need to get the sensation of the club face either closing at the correct impact position here, or get it feel like it's a little bit open through the impact area. So you get that sensation. Now, all we did here with the slicer, we said, look, you've got your grip. What we're going to do is keeping the handle ahead, or this is key, by the way, or in line, just turn the knuckles down so you're almost bowing the wrist. Now, remember what we said. The key thing here is where do slicers go wrong? They turn the face with the shoulder. They throw the arm out. We're doing this. This is the tricky thing. No, it's the top of the forearm, just getting a sensation there. That's all it is. This is a confusing bit. Get that sensation, just feel what it's like. If you're hooking it too much, do the opposite, yeah? But you're doing it here. The third and just hit shots like that. Is with James, that was the first thing we did. So that we needed to get him turning the ball right to left. There's no way we were able to put pressure on the ball or change his path, getting swinging more into out with that slice. He wouldn't have the confidence, yeah? He needed to see the ball moving right to left first. Get that doing it. He did that literally in about 3 or 4 balls, right? Do that. Then, stage number 3, get some pressure on the back of that golf ball. How do we do that? We said, look, you get up a door frame right now and put your hand flat against it. Your right elbow would be in here and your palm would be there. There's pressure, you're putting pressure. This isn't pressure. This is not pressure. This is pressure. So now you've got a sensation of the closed face. Now imagine putting a pressure on that golf ball here, pressure, not throwing the head. Most players who slice the golf ball, they throw the head. This releases, and they're throwing it, it releases the shoulder. This gets you swinging out to in over the top of that golf ball. That is not what you want. By putting pressure on, you get the elbow going in and all those things, the pressure, all the great mechanics completely for free, just by the imagination of putting the pressure on the golf ball. And that is that. What do we say with the hookers? Well, if you're anything like me, you're putting too much on the ball. You're almost kind of getting too much lag, too much pressure on the golf ball. This gets you, the club stuck behind it too much, so you need to do the opposite. You need to release those angles a lot sooner so that you can actually here get that timing much, much more. Hold on too much, you're gonna have to flip with the hands. Get the handle too high, you're gonna have to flip with the hands, all right? So it feels strange, but get those releases. So I hope you enjoyed the training. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and maybe share it with somebody who you know is really struggling. You might ask, does this work for the irons too? It really does. It does exactly the same for the irons. Remember, look, there's a full practice plan and summary if you enjoyed the golf lesson in the description below. So go and pick that up. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, remember to give it a thumbs up and I will see you next week. Have a great golfing week.